fresh tan. I might say, I've just said off camera, I'm surprised. This is the first time after, well, we'll go into the backstory of it, but let's say over like a 6-year period since,
I reckon longer,
maybe longer, that this is the first podcast we've done. There's so much history between Transfit and now obviously Grind, and then Graphic, which is our first business that we started, and now everything that we're doing now.
Maybe first ever customer. Possibly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That, well, it was kind of, we'll go into this. It was kind of what started everything, really, and we'll talk about everything. There's so much we can talk about. That's why I said to Jack, just give us an hour, because we could probably go on for hours. Straight into quick fire questions. So, are you ready?
Go for it.
All right. First one: proudest achievement in business so far.
Oh, just taking a gamble on our most recent premises, probably. When we went and viewed it, it was a lot too big, and we just went for it.
It is a big premises. Like I think even I was surprised when you said, I was like, fucking hell, that's...
Yeah, quite a lot of like local gyms, like, it's too big, they won't last and stuff. Yeah. So to be a good few years in now, it's quite like bittersweet.
Your favourite brand to come out of Liverpool in the past 5 to 10 years?
We work quite close with Applied Nutrition, so I want to say them.
Okay. Why?
They support quite a lot of our events. Even when we ask them, we don't ask. They'll sort of approach us and give us a helping hand.
Favourite place in Liverpool to relax?
Sefton Park.
That's a good one. No one said Sefton Park yet. What's one thing you wish that people knew about you that they probably don't?
I'm 6'2".
Yeah, all right. Real guy, please. You're after it. Go on, one more.
I don't know, we'll have to come back to me on that one.
Right, we'll leave that to it on the end. All right, so that's just to get started. We've got one more question before we get started, but just as a formal introduction, this is obviously Dom Speakman, one of the owners of TF Widnes, Transfit Widnes. What do you go by these days? TF?
TF mainly.
TF Widnes, and obviously Grind, which we'll go into, which is the latest addition to the gym. As I said at the start, this is a really cool story because there's so much history, and the reason why I even came into business in the first place. There's a lot of parallels to the journey that you've been on and the journey that we've been on.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll probably start there, to be honest. But just to go back to sort of early life, we basically work through segments, and we always start, I know it's quite stereotypical, but we always start on early life, just to get a bit of a background about you, for anyone that doesn't know. Because I do feel like you, like, especially obviously from Widnes, we're from Widnes, everyone knows everyone in Widnes, but you only know the surface, don't you? Yeah. So everyone knows names and faces, and like obviously your mates and stuff, like you'll know it the ins and outs of, but everyone knows everyone, but not everyone really knows everyone.
Make a good assumption.
Yeah, so I feel like you'd be a good person to dig into a bit more background, because everyone will know Dom Speakman, whether it's from the rugby world, whether it's from Widnes itself, but probably not many people actually know you. Yeah. So if we go back to the early life, talk to me about upbringing, background, family life from when you were younger.
Yeah, really good upbringing, to be honest. Couldn't wish for a better one. Mum, dad at home. Played rugby all the way through school, so loads of mates. Got to go on holiday. Got nice clothes, new rugby boots when I wanted them. So yeah, I can't really complain.
It's always a little bit refreshing when people say that, because I think you on podcasts especially, you expect people to go, oh, really, really tough upbringing, because a lot of people have obviously tough upbringings, but not many people actually can sit there and say, oh, I've had a really nice upbringing.
Yeah, I didn't have a silver spoon by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a very good upbringing, yeah.
So you mentioned rugby, that's one thing. Obviously, it's a difficult interview to do this, because I feel like I know you.
You know the answers.
But I'm going to try and act like I don't know you. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of things that you could probably tell me that I don't know. But obviously rugby's been a part, it's a part of most lives in Widnes anyway. But talk to me about sort of your earlier rugby career, and then sort of where that ended up, and maybe even how that's played into business as well.
Yeah, so I kind of took to rugby at 4, and I was always pretty good. So I managed to get picked up from Widnes when I was young, play sort of like town team and go all the way through service area. And then after that, you can sort of move on to different clubs. So I signed at St. Helens when I was 14. And then that just sort of come like day-to-day life then. We sort of trained like 3-4 times a week. We was playing alongside that. So education really wasn't at the forefront of my mind. I just sort of wanted to make it as a rugby player. And then sort of just carried that dream on for as long as I could, really.
What about health and fitness? Obviously, you would assume that rugby and health and fitness come hand in hand, but for a lot of people, that doesn't actually happen, does it?
No.
Some people actually hate one or the other, but end up in both.
Yeah, no, I actually enjoyed the training and the gym and the fitness side of it, and that was what made me sort of. Everyone tells you that you need a backup plan and do well in your exams and stuff, but I just knew I didn't want to go and work in sort of like an office environment forever. And I thought, if I'm doing my PT qualifications, I've got something to fall back on then.
Did you have any earlier jobs?
No proper ones, no.
What would you class as not a proper one?
So I didn't have any proper jobs when I was playing rugby. When I left playing rugby and I was going to play in Australia, I got a job in Jaguar Land Rover for a couple of months.
Oh, I remember that, actually. Yeah, I remember that.
And that was enough to get good at my personal training and make sure I didn't have to go back.
What did you do off the top of my head, I can't remember what age it was, but when did you and Lauren go over to Australia?
20.
When you were 20?
Yeah, so we had a 3 months between like 19 and 20 where I worked in earlys, late and nights.
Because you got a lot of your mates, I don't know if they still do, but have worked in Jag, haven't they?
Yeah, they're off the production line now though. They've got they've passed out on apprenticeships and engineers and stuff, so it's not as bad for them now.
And to me, from my perspective, you've always been the type of character that never really switches off. You're always 100 mile an hour or whatever you do. Literally from knowing you from a young age, really. I remember probably my earliest memory is probably rugby related, actually. Obviously, you went to the same school, a couple of years older anyway, but do you remember, I don't even remember this, do you remember taking me to a Saints game? That you played? So there was a time, you might not remember this, so there was a time, obviously, I was a couple of years younger than you, sort of on the same path from Widnes, and then potentially going to St. Helens. St. Helens had offered a scholarship or whatever, and you did not want me to go to Widnes.
Okay.
Wanted me to go to St. Helens, and it was when you just passed your driving test, and you had can't remember what car you had,
little red Corsa,
and you took me to, you said like let me come to a game with me, and I think it was that week maybe, and it was you were playing against Widnes, so it would have been Adam Lowen and everyone
under 18s.
Yeah, playing with Widnes, and that was probably the earliest memory. I don't even think I really knew you then, but for some reason you just didn't want me to go to Widnes, so that was. But even from then, like, you were just always 100 mile an hour.
Yeah, I think I'm like that with everything. So at the moment, I'm a bit like that with golf and paddle. So I kind of get something in my head and a bit
just get hooked on it. Do you think that's, obviously we'll go into business and things, but do you think that's helped you in growing the business that you've got now?
Oh, massively. Sort of like when we got our new premises, I'd sort of stay up all night designing where I wanted certain machines in what order, and I'd wait. Lauren would get up in the morning. I'd be like, "Oh, this is how we're having upper," and I'd have had all the design, like each like meter was covered, and she was like, "What have you done last night?" I was like, "Stayed up and done this."
Not in the bar, no.
Yeah.
That's definitely always something that stood out, like, and it's never changed. I don't think it's ever changed. And obviously from business, knowing business itself, like I've always said to Liam and Jay and everyone that obviously we mutually know, like I've never really known anybody that hasn't come from marketing to have such like a natural instinct for marketing. So that's where I want to dive into as well, because even at how busy you are now, there's still, I know you're still hands-on everything. You're not really, obviously we do you create it for you and stuff, and we've done ads for you and stuff like that, but
I definitely couldn't make it myself.
In terms of the strategy behind it and just the consistency, that's always been you on it.
Yeah, I think I just sort of like, when you look at like a premium brand, like even in like the fitness space, you look at March on, or you look at representing like a clothing, they look premium. Whereas like sometimes you look at some gyms and they look shit just because the branding's rubbish, and they're just taking pictures of random walls with a protein on, and you just think like it could be done so much better for not a lot of effort.
How much do you think branding does play a part in a gym or a health and fitness business actually becoming successful?
Probably a lot more than it should. Obviously it should come down to how good the gym actually is in the community and stuff, but I think you don't really get people in the door unless it looks the part, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Maybe like 10, 20 years ago it was a lot different.
Has that always been something you've known from the start, or something you realised over time?
Probably something I realised over time. When we started, if we scroll back and looked at our posts from 8, 9, 10 years ago, looked a bit scruffy, but I suppose like you live and learn along the way. So quickly realised that other brands look really premium. We wanted to be that.
Yeah. So take us, so for context then, just for anyone that's listening and watching, but obviously because your business isn't Liverpool based as such, obviously it's based in Widnes, so there might be a lot of listeners and watchers that have never been to the gym. I think
Been to Widnes.
yeah, I've been to Widnes pretty much. Obviously with the Hyrox side of stuff that we'll go on to as well, I think you're probably getting traffic from out of town now probably,
Yeah,
because of the state of the art facility and stuff. But talk to us about the journey of Transfit then. So take us from the very start of how you started and then obviously where you are now.
So pre going to Australia, I was full time at rugby. So we didn't have much time to sort of open a gym, but I knew I wanted a bit of pocket money outside. Rugby isn't like football; you don't get tens of thousands. It's just not like that. So I used to run a boot camp of an evening on an outdoor car park. And it was a couple of quid a person, and it was quite full. And then sort of give up as we went to Australia, but knew in the back of my mind it was something like I wouldn't mind doing. So we saved up a bit of money in Australia, lent a little bit off my granddad when I come home, and opened that first premises, which was about 2,000 square foot.
Yeah, I remember that one. I think actually I
us.
came with you. Yeah. So basically, for anyone that's listening as well. So obviously, Graphic, which is the first brand that we built, is obviously it's an agency, but it's fitness based. That all stemmed from the work that me at the time did for Transfit. So just a bit of a background story. So obviously, I was working in software and marketing, all these other things, but was building websites, was building brands and stuff. Obviously, you knew me that I could help with the website or whatever it was. And we went, I can't remember where we went, but we met up somewhere anyway that day. And you were asking me for branding and stuff like this. But then I think you were going to see the unit after that. And he was like, oh, come with us then, because we was looking at signage and stuff, weren't we? So we went, and I remember going to that one for the first time. And then that was kind of the rest is history after that. Like, I think, obviously, like you said before, you was the first customer of somebody outside of like work that I'd done branding for. It just so happened it was health and fitness. I think, realised the space in the health and fitness industry for branding and somebody that actually cared about the industry and the people and could deliver quality, not just any old shite, basically. And then obviously, I think there was probably a handful of, you were probably getting a bit of traction then from building the gym, because there wasn't that many independent gyms around then.
No, not at all. There was a couple of little ones in Widnes, and Instagram and stuff wasn't really big then, so you didn't know about what was sort of outside the area as well.
Yeah. I think you picked up a bit of traction, which passed over to me really, because then people were asking where you were getting your branding done and stuff.
You ended up getting non-fitness related stuff off that as well.
It was all kinds, and it just went from there then. And then I was like, I think this could be a business. And then eventually it turned into something called Graphic, and then that's where obviously Liam, we already knew Liam anyway, but Liam started PTing with you, didn't he?
And then done his branding.
And then did his branding, and then I found away from there. So we're at the point of first premises. How did that go? Because I think from my angle, what I'm still not aware of are probably the challenges along the way as well. So it looks like anybody that's listened to this now and has seen Transfit grow over the years, it looks like it's been plain sailing. It looks like, you started on a car park, you then got this premises, you then got this, and then all of a sudden you've got this incredible business now. So carry us on through the journey, but talk to us about the things that you struggled with along the way.
So our 2,000 square foot premises was really good to start with, but then obviously it was a single brick warehouse that was absolutely freezing in the winter or absolutely roasting in the summer. We had very limited car park spaces, and the road to drive up was full of potholes, and it was a private road that they didn't ever get fixed. So it was just a constant, it's freezing here, it's too hot, I've popped my tyre, there's nowhere to park. Alongside probably growing a little bit too fast at the time. So we was constantly full, but wanting to upgrade equipment. So the money my granddad lent me to start with, we had the equipment, we soon done quite well, and we was like, we want a little bit more than just squat racks, because it was more of an S&C gym to start with, where we had like limited equipment and a lot of space. And then as we got more PTs, you mentioned Liam was on board, Jay, we got more and more PTs, and it was kind of like we wanted more machines that we could use with one-to-one clients, but a lot of the business was sort of like group classes. And in the 2,000 square foot, it's hard to fill 50 people in alongside machines. So we was kind of at capacity for a long time and and ahhing to move. But every time we was looking for a premises, there was nowhere that stood out, or there was always, oh, but it's got no car park, or but we're going to have to spend 200 grand doing it up. And it was just wasn't really feasible. And then obviously we was looking and lockdown come. So probably a blessing that we didn't move just before lockdown, because that may have seen us off. And then when we come back out of lockdown, I was a few years older. I'm Lauren, my wife now. She worked at the gym as well, and she was just like, I'm not doing one more winter in this gym. She has Reynard, so she was like, I'm not doing one more. She was like, I'll go and get another job. I'm sick of it. Like, I can't be asked. So we was like, we'll look. And we drove round, and just by chance on the side of the old DW, we seen a for let signs. We thought, we'll ring it and see what happens, and just went and viewed it.
It's a pretty bold move. It's a big build.
So we went from 2,000 to 17.5, and it was kind of like, what do you reckon we do? And if I told you the figures, they're astronomical. Like you wouldn't even entertain it. And I was a bit more apprehensive. Luke was the same, and Lauren was like, fuck it, it'll be sound. Like, but we was like, weighed it up, and we worked out what we need to break even and X, Y, and Z, and we was like, yeah, it should be fine. And then that's when the real issues started.
So would you say, up until that point, would you say, was business quite comfortable? Or would you say you've always sort of been, because I mean, everyone's aware that, like, obviously in health and fitness, with online coaching and stuff, it can be quite lucrative and you can make money and it's all about making profit. But you can't hide away from the fact that it's hard to make money owning a gym. Like, people genuinely struggle to make money owning a gym. Would you agree with that, or is that how many variables have you got?
Yes and no. So at our old gym, because it was 2,000 square foot, and it wasn't really membership based, it was kind of pay for your class. So I sort of traded my time for money.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously now we're membership based, I still trade time for money. But even if when I go away or I take an evening off, the gym is still generating money. So I think changing sort of like the way we structured the gym as well has been a massive help. And that's obviously, my wife's pregnant, which has like give us a bit of freedom to take evenings off, and it should be a lot easier when the baby comes.
What do you think life would have been looking like, obviously with Lauren being pregnant, if you were still in the other gym? Do you think you would still be in the other gym?
I'd have been there on my own. But I don't know is the honest answer. Maybe at some capacity, but there'd have been maybe a structural change, or I don't know.
Do you think you would have, obviously you mentioned COVID, do you think, was it a case of we could keep the way the gym was in the size that it was and the money that it was making and the structure that you had? Do you think you would have kept that going out of the other side of lockdown? Or do you think it was a case of we need to go big or go home?
Yeah, no, we could have done. We had a nice life when we was in the old gym. But then it was the same. If you were going away for 2 weeks, it was 2 weeks of no wages.
Yeah.
2 weeks of, I hope someone opens it properly, and you don't want.
It's just a different.
You don't want Liam to oversleep, which did happen a couple of times.
Oh, it did it?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, Mr. Operations over there, eh? What do you reckon, Liam? Overworked. Right.
That was when he had 3 jobs.
It's a good job you're underworked now, isn't it?
So yeah, but it was probably more of a growing up. It was absolutely fine to work 15 hours a day when I was 22, 23, but obviously getting over 30 now, it's probably not really
some struggles.
A bold move, yeah.
So obviously COVID, you mentioned COVID. How did you deal with COVID overall? Like, how was it? How did it look for you?
I loved it.
You loved it?
Yeah, I loved it.
You must be the only gym owner that's going to say that.
So yeah, obviously, we transitioned online quite well. More so Lauren. She was doing like daily lives and had like a really good online community going, which was obviously really helpful in terms of like, we still had money coming in the house. It was sunny. We still like walked down, trained, walked on. We were sort of done for 10, sunbathed all day. It was actually quite good, to be honest. But I think that being off and having more time was a bit of like a realization of we could probably do this a bit more, you know, like go for a walk and grab a coffee.
Show you the other side of the
Just
coin.
rather than sort of like pre-Lauren coming to the gym, I used to work of a morning. She'd do 9 to 5 and I'd work of an evening. It was just like passing shit. So kind of like lockdown was a bit like, it should just be more like this, you know, like a bit. We're not a 9 to 5 job. We are unsociable hours, but if we have an afternoon off, we could do X, Y, and Z rather than.
It sounds like the sort of the journey you want to take really when you start a business, isn't it? Like sort of obviously there's always that period of like push and pull where it's just grind, and that's just.
I think you should have to do that as well.
Yeah, of course. But then you always hope that there's going to come a time where you can benefit to the, you know, enjoy the fruits of your labour type.
And I don't want to do that now. Like I'd be bored if I didn't work now. But obviously, long term, I don't think you see many PTs that are 60 odd years old and walking around the gym. And if you do,
so we're going to see a
very small percent
60-year-old Dom that walking around the gym but not PTing anyone.
Might work on
time, probably.
I might work on the coffee shop.
All right. We'll get on to that as well because that's another interesting part of it. So timeline wise, we're at the point of after COVID. You've seen that what was an old DW building in Widnes it's been empty for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. So DW kind of shut down COVID.
Yeah.
We went and viewed it, punched the numbers in. It kind of worked out all right. So we was like spoke to Primal, got a couple of quotes, and I don't think at like gyms like JD and Pure Gym, you see like the 3 owners like in the painting of a night and stuff, but we kind of just sort of did what we had to and made it work.
And what would you say? Because you said you was a bit apprehensive at the start, which isn't from how I know you. I've never known you to be apprehensive any time. You've always sort of just not gone with the wind, probably not the right term, but like you've always been quite happy-go-lucky. So
we got the keys in November and we was due to open in the first week of January, but me and Lauren were also getting married in June. So the toss-up was, should we use our wedding money towards the gym, hope the gym does well and pay for the wedding like as we get there? So it was like all family friends had already booked to go to Greece for the wedding and we gambled the money on the gym. So we was kind of like and ahhing. If it didn't work, we couldn't really go and ask for wet.
Does everyone know that? Or
probably not everyone.
Oh, they will now. That's getting clipped.
They will.
Remember that one?
They will now, yeah. But so we kind of gambled our wedding money and was like, it'll be all right. We'll have to make it work. And then it obviously paid off. We got married. So
do you think without doing that, you'd be where you are now?
Probably not. No, because I think naturally I'd have took less risks. Obviously, being married. Now the baby's coming. I definitely wouldn't probably take the risks I took.
I think there's always that element of it with business. Like it was the same with me. I'm sure it's the same with everyone. I've been going through it with my stepdad now with Cos, where he's been self-employed all his life, but at the age of 50 or nearly 60 that he is now, I think he is. God, he might shoot me for that. I don't know. Don't actually know how old he is. Not gonna lie. He's decided that actually he wants to do what he's always wanted to do and build a business rather than just be a self-employed joiner, basically. But he's got the pressures that you just said there on the liabilities of like obviously his kids are grown older and stuff, but like the age isn't really on his side. Health probably isn't really on his side. It's too late, quote unquote. It's too late. It's not, obviously. It's never too late, but it's so much harder to do it at that point in life versus when you're maybe younger and you don't have them commitments and you probably just have a bit more of a spring in your step. And that was pretty much the decider for me to make the jump to build Graphic. Obviously at the time I had a really good job, really well looked after, earned really good money, was doing a load of stuff on the side and probably had more money than he ever had. But there's something that told me if I don't do it now, what was it, 2021 at the time or something, if I don't do it now, I'm probably never going to do it because as you get older, you just have more commitments, more liabilities, more reasons not to.
And I think that's the case with like a lot of PTs and stuff now. They kind of like, it's easy when they're at home with the mum and dad. Like they don't have to earn much money and they've got a lot of disposable cash and they like do what I'd do and this and this. And a lot of people who are older than and a bit wiser, they think it is quite easy for you when you're sat in your mum's box room and you're earning a couple of grand a month, like you can do these things. But realistically, when I've got a full-time job and a couple of kids and I need to be X, Y, and Z, it's not as easy as make this and train before work, after work, do a zone 2 90-minute run. It's just not feasible for most people.
Yeah. And so coming into that new building, and obviously you mentioned, obviously it's a full primal fit out. It's probably the most kitted out gym I've ever seen. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm well versed for a lot of gyms.
Only
saying I've been in TransFit more than you have lately, so that's something to be said.
I have been an oldie.
But it's you've not scrimmed the bottom, have you? Like, you've gone balls deep on everything.
We always knew we wanted more than what we originally got. So if you look back at the pictures from 2.5 years ago, it wasn't bare, but it had a lot less than it had now. And we kind of just, as more money come in, we just reinvested it. More money come in, we reinvested it. So there's always, like you said before, I don't really switch off. There's always something I want to do, but it just might not be at that exact time we do it. But it's always like burning at the back of my mind to do it.
How do you deal with that? Because for me personally, like I probably struggle with having an idea and not being able to execute it. And like, if I have an idea, like, I want to do it now.
Yeah, so I think when it's high priority, I'll do it there and then. If I know it's something that, say for instance, I know we might need 5 new machines, it's nice to sort of sprinkle them in one machine each month or one machine every couple of months, because it's I don't know, it sort of seems like you're giving more rather than there's 5, we're not getting anything for another year. If it's kind of dribs and drabs, it's sort of like it's constant reinvestment then that members are seeing new things coming, things getting fixed, things sort of like looking better. So it's just like constant like little victories along the way.
And would you, obviously, like, I've definitely seen the visual difference. Would you say that you've seen the payback for that financial investment?
Yes. I think obviously it took a bit of trial and error to visually get it how we wanted to. We've had a couple of move rounds and added a Hyrox affiliate and stuff in, but for anyone who's not been in, at the moment we've just done like the changing rooms up, the toilets up and stuff. So there's stuff that probably needed doing when we moved in, because DW would have done them 15 years before. But obviously we had a limited budget, so it was kind of like, if the gym's really good, people will come to the gym because they like the gym.
Yeah.
I know nowadays some gyms have a really good spa, but the gym's shit, and it kind of misses the point. And you see when it's sunny, people sort of sit round the pool and have a few drinks, but they don't really go to the gym.
They do it once a year.
Yeah, so it's like, we always thought we want a really good gym before we worry about how nice the bench and the changing room is, which I think is probably the right option.
Yeah. But obviously the gym looks like over time that it's like you said, it's gone in a little bit of a different direction as well, hasn't it? Like you mentioned before about the original first unit was like SSC based. Maybe it was intentional, or maybe it was just the budget that you had and the equipment that you bought. But what would you say has been the biggest change in the actual type of gym that it is?
So having more machines that to allow people to do gym only. So for instance, you can just come in by yourself, do your 45 minutes, 60 minutes and go home. Whereas like previous in our old gym, if you wasn't with a personal trainer or taking a class or taking part in a class, you couldn't come. It was just like there wasn't enough room for you. Yeah. So the main thing is people being able to come and just crack on by themselves.
Yeah. And was that always a plan from the start? Because an independent gym generally isn't an open gym, is it?
No, unless it's big enough. So in our old premises, we had the middle of 3 units, and we asked the landlord about possibly like knocking through walls and stuff, but it was just never, it was always something that we wanted to do like down the line, but it was just an opportunity that didn't really like come up for us. So when we was going around reviewing premises, there was some that were like in between where we are now and where we was, and it would have been like a nice stepping stone, but there was reasons like no car parking space that the council wouldn't allow it, and it was just like, looking back now, I'm glad we didn't, but when I was in a 2,000 square foot space looking forward, it would have been nice to have a little bit of breathing space and then do it again, but it would have meant moving again and again, so we sort of just went for the end instead.
Because I remember another unit that you looked at in between, which was, I think there might have been council issues around that one.
Yeah.
Because I went to see that one.
Yeah, so I think the problem with that was there was too many HGVs that drove past, so they said it wasn't safe for the members to walk.
Right.
Apparently.
There's literally a gym on the other side of here, and they literally like run laps around. And to be fair, there's been a few close calls, but like I said before, like the reason why we do this podcast is because, and I say this on every episode, the reason why we do this podcast is because a lot of the podcasts these days, well, everyone's done a podcast to start with, but a lot of the podcasts are generally looking back in hindsight, and it allows people who have had whatever level of success in business or in brand, like what we talk about, to enable them to like repackage it slightly naturally, like they're not doing it intentionally, and everything sounds great. And this is how I achieve this.
Yeah.
This is how you do it. When in reality, you don't really get like a finger on the pulse of what's going on right now.
Yeah, I think it's good to hear from like real people. Like online, you see gain 10 clients in 10 days using my 3-step method, and it might work for one person and it doesn't for another. But like I listen to podcasts myself, and you sort of like take little bits from each person and sort of mold it into like how you'd like to go that way, and probably like a little bit of inspiration from everyone rather than just trying to like solely copy one person.
Would you say you've got anybody or anything that's really like inspires you to achieve what you've done so far?
No, not really.
Really?
No.
What about like some podcasts you listen to? Whose podcasts you listen to?
I quite like Ollie Marchon's. I like Peter Crouch's.
Peter Crouch sounds very funny.
I don't always listen to serious ones.
Yeah.
I get a bit sick of listening to music, so I'll just put a easy podcast on to listen to while I go for a run. If you work in a gym, you do get a bit sick of music.
Do you think you said there about like not always listening to serious ones? Do you think that's a bit of a sort of coping mechanism for you? Like you mentioned, we've already established that you are 100 mile an hour all the time. Maybe like work-life balance can sometimes be difficult. Do you think that's like a bit of an outlet?
Yeah, definitely. Like my favourite is going golf, because I just put my phone in my bag and I don't look at it for like 4 or 5 hours, and you don't get silly messages. So obviously some messages are really, really good. Some are, what time does the gym open? And there's a lot of things online to say what time it opens, and sometimes.
But then again, you are still very hands-on, aren't you? So
yeah.
Considering the
so
size
I've probably made that rod for my own back in some places, but you know, sort of like if you wanted to know when Asda is open on Boxing Day, you'd Google it. Like, sort of like some stuff like that does great on you a little bit down the line, but obviously there's some valid questions that come in as well.
Yeah. So on that, I want to stick on this point of like the success and the growth that you've seen in the journey of TF and what has now become Grind as well. So it can't always have been rosy and easy. I know you've already mentioned a few things that like were difficult, some battles maybe with council and other things, but talk to me about if as a gym owner listen to this and they're inspired or they're aware of the journey that you've been on. Talk to us about maybe something that's happened recently or something that's happening now that you're trying to deal with and you just don't really know how to solve the problem.
The biggest pain in the ass has probably been the last couple of months opening Grind, to be honest. We just got let down by like a ridiculous amount of contractors, and we needed the floor screeding and a new floor putting down, and it was kind of like, we'll be there Monday, and there wasn't, and then it was like, we'll be there Friday, there wasn't, so we got rid of them, started someone new. Same again, they'll be there Tuesday, they had to cancel. And what should have been done in the space of like 2 weeks and having it all screeded and a flooring down has probably spanned over 3 months. And me and Luke finally put the floor down yesterday.
And would you say it's been worth it?
Well worth it, yeah. Some days you felt like torching it, but obviously, no. It's good when you can just go in, sit down and get a coffee and chill out, rather than sort of reception was wasted. So it was well worth doing, but when you went in, you knew there was a space for something much better than there was. And going in, I knew in the back of my mind we wanted a coffee shop, but we just didn't really tell anyone because we wasn't at the part where we was doing it. So obviously we wanted to build up a bit of like hysteria to sort of think like, right, it's coming, but not tell them 2 years before. And they're like, oh yeah, they said they were going to do that ages ago.
Well, again, that goes back to like the approach that you said earlier on, is that like always having the ideas, but knowing that there's a priority order and things will come when they come, and sort of not jumping the gun a little bit.
So we was kind of like, we knew the toilets, change room, that we wanted to do them up, but in the back of our minds we also wanted a coffee shop. And then obviously it's order of hierarchy, so it was like a coffee shop's not mega important. It's a part of people's like day-to-day life, but it's not life or death. Like they could drive and go to the coffee shop they've always gone to on the way home, but obviously we just wanted to fill that void.
And going back to the start of when you realised that it was probably the time to build a coffee shop in the gym. So for anyone again that's watching this, this is probably the disadvantage of knowing each other, because we're probably skipping over so much context. But so obviously the gym is 17,000?
17,500 square foot, yeah.
Obviously, if anyone, I'm sure everyone's been a DW gym in their life, or JJB back when it was. It's one of them. But obviously you've renovated it and it's all new and everything. So you imagine like a reception area that is now a coffee shop called Grind, which obviously the reason why you're on this podcast in the first place, obviously the guys, the design team have been doing all the branding for it and stuff, which is great. So go and have a look at that if you've not had a look at it. But you put coffee shop in the reception. You've obviously known that you've wanted a coffee shop, but it wasn't really the time to do it. So at the point of it being, maybe it's time to do this thing, what was the point? What's the point? So if you will have, I know for a fact that you will have gym bros left, right and centre, even maybe locally, that are probably, you know what the industry can be like sometimes, that are probably thinking gym and coffee shop doesn't go. We know that the world we live in now, it does.
Yeah.
But what's the point in having a coffee shop and a gym?
It sounds really cliche, but probably more of a community feel. So we're Hyrox affiliated. Obviously, we go as a community to different Hyrox events. Like this weekend, we've got like an awful lot of people down in Cardiff doing that. And it was sort of just like, it's a better atmosphere in the gym. So we have people who come in and they work from the laptop. It's good for the PTs. They'll sit there and do programming. Obviously, alongside the coffee shop, we've got like a supplement stand. We sell clear wheys. We sell pre-workouts. So it's kind of, as well as being a coffee shop, it serves our reception. So it's kind of a multi-use that looks a lot more like aesthetically pleasing. Yeah. It links more to the brand, and it just builds a better community. And we're not really the type of gym who wouldn't understand that. Obviously, people looking at it from outside in that don't get it, they wouldn't really come to our gym anyway.
Yeah. So it's kind of just knowing your audience and going from there. I think that's probably one thing that I believe Transfit has always done really well as a brand. It's always known exactly who it's for. And
it has evolved over time as well. When I was mentioned before that we used to just run classes in the old gym, it was a completely different audience than what we attract now.
Yeah.
And that's just evolved over time, but I'd say more so since we moved into the new place. The first probably 6-12 months was some of the audience we did have and some that we didn't. And we've kind of maneuvered our classes and how we run the business around our ideal sort of audience that we felt like runs really well, as a good community. And sort of like wants to train how we enjoy training people. Nothing against Zumba or spin or anything like that, but we personally didn't enjoy taking them, so it was something we didn't really want to keep on the timetable to please a small percentage of people. Obviously we want every single person to be happy, but it doesn't always work out that way. There's always going to be someone that doesn't agree with your decision, and it was just that we felt we'd put more effort ourselves into a Hyrox class and going to Hyrox events than another spin class, because apart from sitting up, standing up, sitting down, resistance on, resistance off, it gets a bit boring.
With how you mentioned Hyrox there, that's obviously it's boomed, hasn't it? I think everyone always knew it would do. When did you realise that was something that you wanted to bring into the mix?
So to be honest, me and Luke had just kind of been sending it forwards and back for a little bit, and it was kind of like, should we just have a look? So we sent an email. The fella Frankie rang, sort of like went through the affiliate stuff, and we was like, yeah, sound, it's only a year contract, like we'll just give it a go and see what happens. So we kind of just like sprinkled a couple of classes on the membership to start with, and I wouldn't say it was that popular at first, but we managed, the first event we done, we managed to get like 25 people to go to Copenhagen. But then I think that was the start of the community in the gym, because we had that solid like base of 25 who'd all done it and generated like quite a lot of interest.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, well, I want to do one of them. And then it's obviously more and more events are popping up. So there's local events at like Manchester and Birmingham where people are like, well, I'll go that and drive. And then there's people who are like, we've got people in the World Championships in Chicago in a couple of weeks. So it's as close or as far as you want it to be, really.
It's crazy how it's...
Yeah, it's massive.
And you've literally, from what I remember, you've literally, the gym's been remodeled.
Yeah, so like you mentioned before, where the gym runs outside and round, we never, when we planned the gym out, we never planned to do Hyrox, so it was separated, and we had to have a full refurb as such and move machines around and sort of redesign it to be able to get in and out the door and add more sled tracks and more sleds and stuff. So yeah, it's been a massive part of the business, to be honest.
Would you say it's made the gym overall more successful, or like, you know, if you didn't, either Hyrox didn't exist or you just didn't choose to go down that route, would you still say that the gym would appear to be as successful?
Yes and no. The space that we use for Hyrox, we would have filled with more machines. And I know more machines doesn't necessarily mean more people, but in a way, obviously you've got more space for more people to train, and the more equipment you've got, more people are likely to come than a sort of like a budget gym.
And how many members are you at now?
I don't know. I don't look.
Intentionally,
yeah. I get a bit obsessed. So from once I knew we kind of like broke even and
just more on a financial.
Yeah. So once I knew we were sort of in the green, I don't look.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'd look.
What region are we in?
I don't know. I haven't checked for well over a year.
Well, 700.
Yeah, it was over a year ago. Yeah, but I was gonna say I don't look. Just because I know I'd get a bit obsessed. I've got a very addictive personality, so
you probably not got time
to stay away from stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it'd bother me if one person left and I'm still happy if one person joins. So it's kind of like we're nowhere at the fact where you're not bothered if you lose 10% and you bring on 500 people. Yeah. But if every one person who left or joined, I'd be like, oh God, I mean,
yeah. So you get too into it.
So it's kind of like, obviously it's enjoyable when people sign up, but I'd be the same when people left. Like, oh, why are they leaving? And someone might be moving away, and I'd be like why don't you drive?
Is there anyone in your team that does do that side of it? Because obviously, but we haven't really mentioned this, but obviously you've mentioned Lauren.
Yeah, Luke does the financial side.
So you've got Luke, and Lauren. So what kind of, as a team, what kind of roles do you play as a team?
So Luke does sort of like the financial side. He does a lot of like the Hyrox planning. Obviously he does his one-to-one coaching. Lauren kind of does Lauren's bad cop. So she does a lot of like the rotors and shouting at people, and
I've seen her shout a few times.
So she won't mind me saying, but she's camera watcher for if people leave the weights out, and she goes and tells them. Like, she gets a lot of like satisfaction off that. If the staff have stepped out of line or overslept, she's the one who'll tell them, and then I sort of look after like social media and sort of like, don't know, like speaking to customers, emails, messages, stuff like that.
And like the general like direction, I guess, opportunities.
Recently, we've sort of took on like a gym supervisor, obviously some baristas, and then we've got more PTs now that work in the gym rather than they just used to work for themselves, like self-employed. But
okay, yeah, so that's a slightly different model.
Like slightly different models for the PTs now as well, sort of depending like what their entry level is. So if they come in with absolutely no clients, we allow them to do more hours.
Yeah.
If they come in with enough clients that they don't want to do any hours, that's absolutely fine as well.
Cool. So what I'm thinking ahead now, and I'm thinking, right, well, you've gone from 2,000 square foot in Widnes to, without a doubt, the biggest possible gym you could ever get, especially in Widnes. But I mean, are there any bigger? Like,
there's bigger warehouses, but they wouldn't be.
Are there any bigger gyms?
No. I don't know the square footage of Pure and JD, but I'd imagine it'd be about the same.
Yeah, probably about the same. So what's next?
Someone asked me this the other day, and I'd do something completely not gym related. I think there will be something. I get bored, so there'll be something. I haven't put my finger on it.
What in terms of the gym and the sort of the space you built? Obviously, you've got the gym, you've got the coffee shop. Can you see that? I know you've already mentioned before that you'll have ideas and you won't sort of put them out there unless you're ready to do it. But do you see the direction changing of the gym? Do you see any additions? Is there anything that members can get potentially really excited about in the future?
We've got some things we want to move around. for anyone who's been in a DW, they've got like a curved barrier around the cardio, and it just eats a little bit of space up because it's a curve. So it's tough to sort of like put more machines in. So at some point, we'll take that down. It's got a little step, and we'll sort of like flatten it all out, which will give us a bit more room to put some equipment in. And we've got a studio upstairs that we might do something with, maybe.
I've got an idea what you should be doing. I've been going to the gym a lot, even though you've not been there. And
where's this coming from?
I've been in Liam will vouch me. I've been in the gym 3-4 times a week for a good few weeks.
You must be there at 5 a.m.
Nah. Well, let's see. Actually, I'm going to say this, right? So I said to you before, what was the point of the coffee shop, right? It's become my Saturday morning routine to go and get a flat white, because I drink black coffee through the week, and I go and treat myself to a flat white on a Saturday morning. And I go grind for that.
So you get a cake?
But I don't get a cake. I did at the start, but then I realised I need to stop getting the cakes. But I can't bring myself to walk into the gym to get a coffee and walk out. So I have to go to the gym. And so when I said before, I had my own interpretation of the reason why it's good to have the coffee shop. I'm a coffee shop goer. I'll work in a coffee shop. I'll sit in coffee shops for hours. So for me, it's like a perfect blend. But it has genuinely made me go to the gym more, because I can't bring myself to just go in the gym and buy a coffee. I've got to go to the gym as well.
It is like that.
I can't be the only person.
And it's habit. We had people who were leaving the gym to go Costa on the way home.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I would have done that.
It's loads easier now. I can just grab my coffee for me and my fella, or me and my missus, and go home.
Yeah.
So it saves people time. It was something they were going to buy anyway. And obviously we've made sure we sourced like a really nice coffee. So it's not like the sort of, they get him on our machine and they think it's a bit nasty that I don't want it.
Yeah.
But like you said, we sort of like, we get run clubs. We start our own run club from the coffee shop, because it's a nice place to go and park your car, meet up, rather than, you know, the weather's like we'll meet you at the corner of the park and you're running down with like your hood up and you don't know where to leave your keys. So it's kind of like a safe space to go, leave all your stuff in the gym. We'll run, do 5-10K all together, go back, coffee and a cake. And it's kind of just like a good Sunday morning. So a Sunday morning for me 10 years ago would have been hungover in bed. I just think like it's completely changed now from what it used to be. No one goes out drinking as much as 10 years ago. It's more hybrid fitness.
It's strange, isn't it? Because the way I've definitely felt it myself, but obviously you've been running this business for a long time now, probably best part of 10 years. Okay. And obviously as you mentioned that the audience of TransFit has changed a little bit over the years, but it's always like, you know, when you have like, let's say a YouTuber or something, and like they've been doing YouTube for years and the fan base is like young, but then they grow up with them, don't they?
Yeah.
So like everyone that's around you that maybe probably did go to the gym back then, but was also going out, no longer's doing that. And half of them are like probably them world championships you mentioned.
Yeah.
So everyone's sort of grown up together, haven't they?
So a lot of people who I'd a drank with, been parties with them and stuff. Now it's like you might see them in there on a Saturday afternoon and a Sunday morning. You think
top off.
You think
on the ski.
It's a wild way away from what it used to, but it's good.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's definitely driven like, and you got to think as well. I mean, I don't know what the population of Widnes is. Last time we checked, it was around 60,000. I think it might be way off now, but that was years ago. But if you think of how big that gym is and how many members you've got, you can hang your hat on saying that gym in that town is having a positive impact on health and fitness.
Yeah, definitely.
Across the town completely.
Yeah, and that it's good. Like we've got members that come that are 13, 14. We've got members that come that are 75. But you know what? Like each day you're having a positive impact on someone's day, which is a massive bonus.
Yeah.
You get people who go in there and you see them training with the mates and they just go in for a chat, and you get people who go in, put their headphones on, and that's their therapy, and it's whatever they want to make of it. So we've got the room for them to do that. It's
definitely been a form of therapy for me. Like I'm shit with music and stuff like that. I've started listening to music, even though I'm listening to like Andy Whitby and maybe some Wigan Pear or something. Like my inner chavs come out, but it's been like, on a serious note, like the past couple of weeks for me, like TransFit's been a place where I can like escape anything else that's going on. And I've never been I've never been a big gym goer. Just always played rugby. Never really been a gym goer, but I've really felt it. That's why it lined up really well with this podcast, because at the minute I feel like I'm in that place a lot. So it's good to hear your side of the story, I think.
Because not everyone goes to be fit. Like obviously that links back to the coffee shop. People just come for a chat, and it might be that you go and sit on the bike with your mate for half an hour, you turn your legs and you get a coffee, and that's made your day.
Yeah.
So obviously people have got like tough jobs, everything's expensive at the moment, and they haven't got like the sort of like money to go, right, well, I'm going abroad, or I'm going to go and do this. So it's something as simple as a couple of quid coffee, or go and sit on the bike and just have a chat. That's what you needed. So we pride ourselves on that.
Yeah, it's cool. I think we can finish on that. Just to finish with, we've got one last question. So we talked a lot about the story, and sometimes when a podcast is story based, value can be up and down. So I just hope that whoever's watching and listening to this gets a feel for like the passion that you put into the business journey that you've been on. And I hope people, if you haven't been to Transfit, go and have a look, go and grab a coffee on a weekend, because I think it'll inspire you, even if you're not a gym goer, if you're not an entrepreneur, even if you're not looking to open a gym. I really do genuinely believe it'll inspire you just by looking around. So just to finish, just to make sure we do give some value at the end, what's your one piece of advice for not just in the health and fitness space, but for anybody that is maybe, 20-year-old Dom that wants to start a business? What would be your number one piece of advice for them?
Just take a gamble, go for it. Money will always come back. So at 20, you've got a long life ahead of you. I always say, like, I don't want to die on my deathbed thinking I wish I did that. I'd rather be like, I'm glad I did it and it messed up, because I then know the outcome, rather than thinking if I'd have just done that when I was 20 and thinking what could have been rather than what should have been. So probably that. Take a gamble.
You have to finish on that. Nice.
Nice.
Thanks for coming on.
Nice one.
So that wraps up a really good episode with Dom from TF and newly created Grind, which is an insane coffee shop. Honestly, the coffee is really good. I'm not just saying that, it actually is really good. Just a few key takeaways from what I took from the episode. I think on reflection, I think we definitely skipped over some context because we know each other so well. But as I mentioned in the episode, I really wanted people to understand the journey that business has been on as a brand and how it's evolved. And Dom did mention about how the audience has changed over the years, which I think is a big takeaway for any brand owners out there as well. Sometimes you either may struggle to find the exact audience that you want over time, but sometimes you also need to understand that your audience may change and your brand needs to change with it, or your brand pulls different people in different directions. And that's the opportunities that comes with building a brand and building a business. So I hope it was really inspiring. If you don't know much about the gym, the Transfit, or the coffee shop or anything like that, please go and have a look, pay a visit. I think they do like day passes and things like that. Go and have a look around, because honestly, as I said in the episode, even if you're not an entrepreneur, even if you're not interested in growing a business, I'm sure when you walk in that place, you will be inspired. So as always, if you're watching, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and maybe drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. If you're listening, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned on Spotify and Apple as well. I'll see you next time.